One of my eyes was diagnosed with posterior vitreous detachment, PVD, 10 months ago. Then one day my vision became so bad that I could barely recognize the big letter E on the eye chart. A typical total retinal detachment. A vitrectomy was performed at the hospital to repair my detachment. Before the operation, I was advised that the doctor might inject either oil or gas into my eye after repairing the retina. Later, I found that more than 85% of my eyeball was filled with a gas bubble. When my eye was filled with gas, my vision was very poor. As the gas bubble became smaller, I could see it shrank towards the bottom of my field of vision. When the bubble became rather small, it had the tendency to break up into a few smaller bubbles before disappearing altogether. In order to prevent the gas bubble from coming in contact with the crystalline lens to increase the risk of cataract formation, raise intraocular pressure, or damage the cornea, I had to avoid looking upward or lying on my back for any significant period of time. Here was what happened to my vision while I was on my way to recovery. I could not see anything with my eye, everything appeared to be white out. At this time, I was basically seeing through the bubble. I could also see a bent-down jelly bean-shaped capsule at the top of my vision. That was the injected saline, which took about less than 15% of my eye cavity's volume. The jelly bean capsule moved around as I bent my head from left to right. With my nearsighted corrective eyeglasses, I could clearly see the dust on the lenses. Anything beyond was a completely blurry. I could see my hand but not make out the individual fingers. At this time, whatever I saw was actually through the bubble. The bubble was gradually being replaced by an aqueous, nutritive fluid secreted by the eye. The jelly bean-like liquid capsule grew and formed an arc that became the boundary between the gas and the liquid. At this time, about less than 1/3 of the fluid filled in the vitreous cavity. Vision through the bubble was darker and blurry. At a face-down position, I could see a black circle. Vision in the circle was blurry. The bubble reduced its volume to about half of the eyeball size in terms of the body liquid replacement. It tends to be split apart easily at face-down position. I could see the bubble shaking like crazy as I was washing my face or brushing my teeth at face-down position. With this half-bubble, half-liquid-filled eye, I could see but not very well. The vision was blurred and it got some light interference over the bright objects. The image was also slightly distorted in the center of vision. Look at the building upper floors, the spot where I put my focus on was distorted. Bubble reduced to a noticeable small size. Now it took about 40% of the vitreous cavity, while liquid filled about 60% of it. The vision was still poor, blurry, slightly distorted. I had been very careful, but it was really hard to know what is coming. I got this bubble breaking up again this morning right after finishing my eye drops routine. And one more small bubble segregated after eye drop this afternoon. I tried to see these bubbles merge live in action. However, 8 hours elapsed and these 3 stubborn gas bubbles still clung on tight and showed no sign of merging up, so I decided to take a break. After closing my eyes and lying face down quietly for 38 minutes, the next thing I knew when I opened my eyes was that the bubbles were already merged and became one. When I woke up at 5 in the morning, the bubble was still intact. I back to sleep. 1 hour later, I woke up again and there was a trio. I remembered I had a bad dream. I must be kicking and struggling very hard while I was dreaming. That made the bubble breaks into 3. Back to sleep for 90 minutes only fixed 1 bubble. 2 still left clung on together. Next morning, they all merged became 1. As the bubble getting smaller, the vision got improved as well. However, the reflections and glares interferences came from the surface of the bubble was getting stronger. That became annoying while driving under the sunshine. There were reflections, glares, and the mirror reflection from the bubble surface, all mixed up with the vision. Bubble reduced to 10% of size. The glare or reflections phenomenon decreased significantly with small gas bubble. The day before the end of the 9th week, I got trio again, like face of Mickey Mouse. I could move my eyeball to rotate this trio bubbles cluster. It merged to 1 after I woke up next morning. The gas bubble was totally gone. 1 year later, I got my cataract removed. My vision was 20/40. 2 years later, I decided to have my macular pucker removed. That improved distortion, but the vision was still 20/40. 8 years later, my vision was still 20/40 with distortion in the center of vision. Doctor said it may take 15 years to have my vision back to normal.